now I'm going to make a cylinder. I've centered my ball of clay, and again, left hand on the outside presses the thumb down, and what happens is that supports this clay. It gives that clay guidance. So when you're pressing it down, the clay has to go somewhere, the mass has to move, and so what you're doing is you're creating this area for the clay to go into. Okay, now I'm going to open up. So I open up with my fingers on the inside and I pull them out toward my thumb. That's not for everybody. Some people open up with their hand here and they rest. And I think this is what my student at night's doing, which is fine. So just count it off. 1 1,000, next ring, 2 1,000, next ring. If this starts to get dry, gently release your hands and add some water, because that's going to throw it off. Okay, all right, and pull it out again. Now I'm going to go ahead and compress, and I open up a little bit wider than I normally would so that I'll get a nice right angle, and I've left enough clay in the bottom in order to trim it. Okay, so you're leaving 1/2 inch, because then after you compress it and everything, you won't have 1/2 inch. Okay, now you can take a right angle either with your wooden rib or a plastic rib and just set it. Okay, so that's going to give you the perfect right angle. Okay, now fingertip to fingertip, my first pull, I'm not going to go all the way down here. I'm going to start with this big heavy donut, and I'm going to slow my wheel slightly, and I'm at 4 o'clock, so I'm just pressing the clay up. I'm almost using 3 fingers against these 2. Okay. I'm going to press. See, the clay automatically moved up. The mass has to go somewhere. So then after you press, get on top. Now some people will do a knuckle. Okay, I don't like the knuckle. I feel like it drags and it gets dry. So I'm just going to do fingertip to fingertip. It's almost like the water on these fingers keep feeding these fingertips, you know, liquid. You can see when I'm pulling, the clay is stretching. So when you do fingertip to fingertip, the right fingers touch last. So it's like as you're pulling together, the clay's stretching, and you can see it's like farther out, and then it kicks back in, because just at the very end, the outside fingers are touching last. Okay? Clean undercut. And then press and bring the clay up against the inside fingers, and I'm climbing. Count it off. If you go too fast, you'll get an uneven top. Okay, now let's do the shape. Okay, let's do a shape. So the shape that Danielle's working on, my student Danielle, is she's doing a supported curve with a flared rim. So we're gonna press. Now, I'm gonna come up and press out on the inside, and then stop. And then finish your pull straight up. And then come over the inside with your inside finger. Now, I gently want to give this a nice drinking lip, so I'm just going to hold my thumb flat and just do a little pinch. Okay, so it's not really super rounded at the top. It has a little bit of a bevel. And then I'm just gonna turn that out just slightly, okay? Now, I'm gonna get the water out of the inside. Very important, so you don't get S-cracks. And then I'm gonna rib. So I'm gonna press out. So I'm pressing out. Let me put a tool in there so Deb can see. I'm pressing up and out right here with my thumb into this rib. Now I'm gonna readjust, just go over the shape I created, okay? All right, let's look at the cross section. Okay, so right here is where I originally had my line, and I was throwing straight that whole time, and then the last pull that I did, I pulled the clay up and climbed outward, and then readjusted and straightened, and then when I ribbed, and then I readjusted. Okay, all right. This motion is straight with a pinch, my left thumb. All right, and so what you'll end up doing is trimming here and here. This is so close to being a flat bottom piece, but it would still need trim some, okay?